Hi everybody, my name is Jerry, I'm from Wild Eye. It is Thursday. I am sitting, actually let me show you where I am. I'm sitting outside my room, that's Big 5 territory, room inside there, laptop for the questions. I'm at Sabi, and we just get that right there. And I'm hosting a private guided safari, and a day or two ago I started asking people on there, send me questions on what you've seen. Wildlife, travel, photography, whatever the case is. So, during the last 24 hours, I've screen grabbed all of those and I've sent them to my laptop. You've got to love AirDrop when it works. And it's not the Q&A. So normally, every 10 episodes of the podcast is a Q&A. And I ask people to send questions. And this is specifically on the trip so far where I've done Kenya, Masai Mara, and I've done the Sabi Sands now. So, it's about 10 or 12 messages, specific questions. There was a lot of doubles, so I pulled some of them. But I'm going to just read through the questions and give you some context with regards to safaris, Sabi Sands, and so on and so forth. So, here we go. First question on safari is, I was a bit confused about Sabi Sands and Sabi, but now that you've posted a shot of the entrance, I think I understand. Could you also include a bit about about what to photograph there and the landscapes? Okay. So, I spoke to someone, I think I mentioned it on my Snapchat recently. The Sabi Sand is the actual game reserve. So, think of it as a big property which is divided into a whole bunch of concessions. Sabi Sand is the game reserve. It's part of the Greater Kruger, and it sits just on the western side of the Kruger National Park. There's no fences. Animals can traverse freely. So, what happens is, each of the concessions inside the Sabi Sand is managed by a different lodge. So, for example, where we are now, Sabi, that's their property. Only them traverse that, right? You get Singita, Londolozi, you get Juma, where Safari Live takes place, a whole bunch of them, and each of those have their own property. The animals can traverse freely in between. So Sabi Sand is the game reserve, and Sabi is one of the concessions and lodges that you can then visit within the Sabi Sand. Make sense? Now, what you can photograph here, Big 5 is obviously the thing. The Sabi Sand is known for its leopard, and lion action is phenomenal. So Big 5, general game, all the general stuff you could find in Southern Africa, all the way down to, little bushback, Nyala. So pretty much a wide diversity of mammals that you would expect. And then around the landscape, so Mary asks about the landscapes. I am going to try and do a blog post or something on the areas, because what you saw now, what you see behind me, that is just some of the areas. There's open green areas, there's little hills, there's rocky outcrops. It is super diverse, but it is the low veld, so it does have a certain look and feel to it. But yeah, Sabi Sand is the game reserve, inside of which there are different concessions, which are managed then by different lodges. Easy question. I'll just click through here. Next one. Okay, it's very similar. If you could include what you photograph in the landscape, I saw a photograph taken in the Sabi Sands by Trevor in black and white with giraffes on the horizon. Looks more like Amboseli. Can you find this in Sabi Sands as well? Yes, it is very diverse. Even in places like the Mara, which is known for the rolling hills, you get these pockets of, you might get one pocket of thickets, if you will, and if you get close enough and you zoom in, it doesn't look like it anymore. So every one of these ecosystems will have diversity in between. It's just maybe there's more grasslands. In this case, there's more thickets, kind of Mupani veld. But yeah, you can get great diversity, and that's the cool thing about photography, is you can isolate and you can tell a different story to what everybody else sees. You can be here, I'm looking over to the side there, and there's a small little open grass patch. If you get close enough and you angle it right, you could make it look like it's just grassland. It's up to you as the photographer to kind of deal with that. Okay, next one here from LR4, which was off Instagram. What is the hierarchy in what you saw last night? Do the animals mainly kill at night? Now, if you followed on Instagram, I had an insanely amazing 6 sighting a couple of nights ago, where short story, go and check Wild Eye Diaries 7, the one that Johanna hosted, it's all in there. 9 lions, big herd of buff. Lions charge in, grabs a baby. Buffalo hit lion a couple of times. Lions end up in waterhole, start feeding on baby in waterhole. They're fighting amongst themselves. Buffalo come in, they try and charge them. Madness, hour and a half of madness. So the question here relates to that. What is the hierarchy in what you saw last night? So I'm taking it, this is from a lion's point of view. In this particular instance, funny, there was very little. There was 2 females, and then there was a whole bunch of males from about 3.5, not even, 3.5 and younger. So 7 males. They're going to be a kick-ass coalition in due course. And these females, and if I look at the videos that I shot, one of the oldest males, so about 3.5, took the youngster, but then it was a free-for-all. So in the thing we saw last night, if you watch that, there wasn't hell of a hierarchy. And it wasn't a great hunt. These things were not like organized as such. They basically just charged in, and the one was lucky enough to get its paws, teeth, claws, whatever, on a baby. So that was the case. Normally there is a hierarchy. A pride of lions is made up of the females, their younger females, and then the youngsters. Males form coalitions. Coalitions manages a pride. That's the basic hierarchy. But what you saw in that hunt is very different. I've never seen anything like it. So, second part of the question, do the animals mainly kill at night? If you read textbooks, yes. If you believe textbooks, you're going to miss out, because the reason they often hunt at night is because they're advantaged. They have the eyesight, the hearing, everything of a predator. Lions and cats specifically are designed to hunt in the evening. So yes, that is one way that they do it. But people say, oh no, lions always sleep in the day. They never wake. I've seen a lioness get up at 12 o'clock midday, it's 40 degrees, and kill a wildebeest right over here. So not always. Most of the time, yes, because that's what they're designed to do, but definitely not always. Next question here, random. What is my favorite animal? I don't know. If I look back, personally, over the last 2, 3, 4 years, I do tend to gravitate towards elephants a bit. I think the reason is, and maybe this is a bit shy, but I've got a background in psychology. I've got an honors in sports psychology. So, yeah, very strange. Doesn't work. But the amount of interaction and psychology, if you will, around elephants for me is fantastic. Their body language, their behavior, what they do, how they communicate is just ridiculous. And photographically, I tend to gravitate that way as well. However, if I had to choose a certain animal, for me, it's interaction. Any species. It could be impala on impala fighting. It could be lion on zebra, lion on lion, lion on leopard, hyena on pangolin, whatever. It's the interaction and the stories of nature, for me, that is really the win. So, favorite animal? Not necessarily. It's what they, I mean, if I say my favorite animal is a leopard, it could be sleeping. It's boring as shit. But if it's doing something, it's great. So, interaction and stories. If I had to be gun to the head one animal, probably an elephant. Okay, this is from Ash Sham on, which looks like Instagram. Hey Jerry, hope you're well. A couple of questions I wanted to ask. When there is a lion pride takeover, what generally happens to the male that has been overtaken? How long will he survive alone, or do they join another pride? So, how long is a piece of string? Let's say you have a dominant male or a coalition. They manage a pride. They get kicked out for whatever reason. It depends. I mean, is he injured? Did he sustain life-threatening injuries? Then he's not going to last very long. Let's say it's a very populated area, very densely populated with lions. He gets kicked out. If there's only one of them, he then has to kind of look for a space where he can live outside of other coalition territories. Otherwise, he's going to get his ass kicked. Tough one. You can't say. He will, depending on how old he is, there's so many variables, but broad strokes, he gets kicked off. He's probably going to become nomadic for a while. He might meet up with another coalition member or a coalition somewhere. We've seen it, that one joins two, one joins one, they become two, two joins another three. Well, it happens, right? It's not always just bloodlines. But yeah, you can't say. It depends on so many factors. If he's injured and he decides to hang around, he's going to die. It just is what it is. So, very tough one. He will normally, if he gets a proper arse whipping, he will probably leave the area, and then it's up to him to kind of scrounge and make do. Second part of it, another question from Ash as well. Also, wildlife safaris, are they generally aimed for people who are keen on photography? Well, yes, but here's the catch. You don't have to be a photographer to be keen on photography. That's what a lot of people don't understand, is if you have a cell phone, I'm filming on it now, but if you have a cell phone, you are a photographer. You might be a shitty photographer, but you are still taking images. I have not seen, even now, on the last couple of days in the sands here, I haven't seen a single person on a vehicle who has not taken a picture. Simple as that. Either with a camera, big one, a little prosumer, or their phones. It is what we do. So and here's the thing, a lot of people run photographic safaris and they are just wildlife photographers. They come from the UK, the US. They've never seen a lion in the wild, but they're a good wildlife photographer. They're on trip. My team, my guides, my Wild Eye guys are all qualified guides first. You have to be a guide first, and then we're good teachers on the back of it. So no, if you're half interested in photography, you can do the trip, and you're going to walk away with amazing images and new skills. I've had people, I've said this in the past, arriving at the airport and say, look, here's my new camera, my box, please help me with this. And they walk away with great images. So it is generally aimed at it. However, every single person that goes on safari will take an image, and that's where the value comes in. Also, we can just do a general travel and send you on your way, but then you're going to take pictures on your own anyway. Or if you want to have real deep level guiding, you can book myself, Marlon, one of the guides, as a private guide, and we will go deep with you, not just on that sideline. Nothing irritates the shit out of me more than a guide who simply stops at an animal and says, it's a lion, it's 10 years old, it has a gestation of 110 days, and it eats meat. Don't tell me shit as a guide that you can read in a book or that people can Google. Interpret, tell stories, predict, and it will be, that's what a real guide does. So all of my guys are that first of all, and then it's the photography. So Ash, yeah, it is aimed at photographers, but if you've taken a picture on your phone, you are a photographer. Simple as that. Okay, next one here. Hey Jerry, I have a question. Might seem silly, but are there lions in Kenya and South Africa the same species, or do they generally vary from country to country? Enjoy following. Thank you. That's cool. So Troy_STA. Lion is lion. You get Panthera leo. So what you'll find is that you could, for example, take a lion out of the Masai Mara. You could bring Scar, the lion, into here, and he will mate with these females. He will fight with these males. They don't see each other as different. Same species, same lions. You do get geographical variances as far as maybe color, size. I mean, if you look at the lions in the Delta, some of them, people call them swamp cats or water cats. They grow up going through these water trenches. And there was a documentary done where these lions have pretty wide and big shoulders. It's because from young age, when they're developing, they're walking through the water, it adds up to a bit bigger. So there are geographical variances, but yeah, it's the same cat, hey? Always the same cat. Okay, there's a long one. Here we go. Hey Jerry, so I need some advice, suggestions. While in Serengeti, I had all sorts of tech failure, MacBook crashing, corrupt lighted catalogs, and the end of the trip, my hard drive with all my photos and my Lightroom catalog was not mounting. I've just been into a Mac specialist who, okay, it's a bit technical, have automatically referred me to a data recovery specialist, which is going to be $1,000. Holy shit, I'll do it for $800. Any suggestions or ideas on what to try? The hard drive isn't mounting on any PC or Mac that I've tried. Okay, Megan, so what happens when a drive, this is for you tech geeks out there, don't get excited now, right? What happens with a disk not mounting is the first sector is normally damaged. Everything else is fine, just the first sector. So there is a program. Megan, if you see this, email me. I've got it on my computer. I cannot think what it is, but it's so close. It's basically you plug a broken hard drive in, and it tries to mount it. I've done a couple of Jono's images or discs. Engen, one of my clients in Sabi Sands last year, we fixed. So it is possible. You just have to get around sector 1. Specialist software, the software can cost you, I think it cost me like $80, and I've recovered like 10 or 12 hard drives from it. So, Megan, email me, but you just have, Disk Utility probably can't pick it up on Mac. But email me, this is a bit tech for this discussion, but yeah, email me and we will take it from there. Easy one. Next one, Sandra is, first of all, I have to say I'm loving the stories and especially the pictures. Thank you so much. I do have a question about your safari. Is it safe for two 22-year-old women? Thank you for your answer. Absolutely. So, Joni, who's traveling with me now here, she's never traveled internationally on her own. Previous trip, had her sons with her this time. So, the safety and security issue for people is sometimes a concern. It shouldn't be. Here's the thing. You just have to get, regardless of your, okay, not under 18, of course, because that's difficult. Just get to the airport, and when you touch down here, if you booked a private trip, I'll be there to collect you. If you're going to photo safari, we will give you all the details, where to meet, and once you're with us, we take care of everything. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've had 15-year-old, 18-year-olds on safari, and it's absolutely safe. I won't take you on a safari where I risk losing a guest. I've only lost one guest on Safari. No, I'm joking. I haven't lost a guest on Safari. No, absolutely. Sandra, if you are keen to find out more, let me know. But safety-wise, no problem whatsoever. Wondering if you could go over these in your podcast. This is from Lindsay Breckelman. Do you prefer to have someone who knows a lot about photography, or if you are an amateur photographer, is that okay? Okay, let's answer that first. I think it links back to the previous one. It's not a problem. I don't prefer it either way. I can guide with passion, or I can teach you. It doesn't matter. I do, however, think that if you are keen on photography, the link between animal behavior that we're talking about here works very closely on this side, and that's where the magic for wildlife photography happens. So it doesn't matter. If you're keen on photography, I mean, if you've just seen one image that you've taken that you think is cool, absolutely. So that doesn't matter. It carries on. What kinds of safaris do you have, and what are the price ranges? I know there's a lot of Wild Eye website. It's hard to filter through all of them. Just the basics is fine. How long is a piece of string? You see, the set departures is set up. So there's 4 guests, book on this. It starts from the 2nd to the 10th of Feb, for example. There's a price to that. So that you just read off a schedule. What I do is if you email me and say, I want to come on a safari, then I will send you a link. You fill in a form. I did 2 of those yesterday for people. And I'll say to you, right, how long do you want to travel? How many people? What type of accommodation do you want? And I'll ask you a budget. You can go on if you're lucky and you find availability, on a safari, 5-star in Madikwe, for example, for about $3,000 for a week. Alternatively, you can book a 2-week trip for $20,000 on a private basis to Kenya and the Sabi Sands, for example. Then you've got someone like myself or one of my guides with you. Can't answer that. It depends on what you want. I had an email yesterday from someone saying they want to go to the Masai Mara and they want to spend $2,000 per person for 2 weeks. Not going to happen. It just isn't. Or if it happens, you have no right to complain about the experience you get, because realistically, $2,000 for 14 days, right? So $80 per day, so it's 10, 800, 3, it's about $1,100 just on park fees for 2 weeks. You're left with $900. I would not want to stay anywhere for $900 for 2 weeks, because comfort, security, safety, cleanliness, blah, 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 blah. So you need to be realistic. But, Lindsay, there's a wide range. If you email me and say, I have $5,000, I will create a kick-ass experience for you. So that's how it will work. In all information in animals and their behavior, okay, that will come in due course. I find it all fascinating. Thank you. It is fascinating. It's what we do. On that, I'm looking at on my Snapchat, which I'm enjoying again the last while, you can create groups of up to 32 people. So I'm looking at creating groups, for example, lion, elephant, leopard, and in that, on a regular basis, I will share, not images, but information on behavior. It's a thought. Stay tuned on Snapchat. It's going to be cool. Okay, next one. My question, this is Robin on Snapchat. For me, the question is, how can I do it better? This is photography. What do I need or do to improve? Because I know it's not good enough and I want to do it better. How do you make it better? You book a private safari with me. Simple as that. I've got Joni here. She was an okay photographer. She's now, the stuff she's producing, I'm actually jealous of. And I like saying that about a client's images. It comes back to another video I recorded yesterday called Listen. People don't listen. I will tell you, you need to do this, this, and this to improve. You're stuck in a rut and you don't do it. It's not the same for everyone. Some people need to learn the technical side more so they can execute that. Some people need to think more out the box and get more creative. Some people need to just calm the fuck down to a mild panic and then just shoot what they see. Robin, I can't give you an answer. If, however, we spend time in the field together, my job, what you pay me for, is to make you better. I will then look at, before we meet, all of your images. I'll tell you what your weaknesses are. You tell me what you think your weaknesses are. I reconcile that, and in the field then, I push you on your weaknesses. That's how you get better, and you listen. But how can I do it better? We all want to be better, but you have to be, here's the catch. Short version, you have to be open to change. There it is. Okay, I think 3 more here. What is this? Visho. Okay, this one shouldn't be in here, but I'm going to go with it. Hey, sir, long-time fan of yours. I love the way you explain nature. I want to work with you, so please, I'm curious how to work with you. I love wildlife. I love to work with you. Sorry, don't do. Here's the thing. I get a lot of these emails. And if you're thinking of sending one, let's talk first. Here's the deal. if you have never been to Africa, if you have never used a camera to photograph wildlife, and you are just curious about something, why would you want to work in it? I'm actually a bit lost for this. I'm not going to email someone that works on a mine and they do the gas extractions of the mine pipes. I don't know what the hell it is about. So why would I want to work at it? I understand you're all fascinated by nature, but what are you going to come and do here? So I've emailed this person back, this is on Instagram, and said, listen, have you seen wildlife? Have you photographed it? Have you guided? Have you been to Africa? No on every single one. So why would you come and work? It's a pipe dream. The reality is very different. So I'm going to save this for another time because I might just go down a rabbit hole that I don't really want to. Okay, 2 more. We have another question from Mary is, why do a lot of the lodges close in April? Is this time out of season in Sabi Sands as well? Would it be a mistake photographically to go to places out of season? I kind of like the idea of not having 4 to 5 other vehicles around. Okay, in Sabi Sands it doesn't close. It's open the year round. In areas where it closes, for example, Mana Pools, some in Wangi, it's because it's the rainy season and you just can't do anything. It's muddy, you can't get in, you can't get out, so that's why they close. A lot of lodges also, especially if it's a seasonal thing and they require lots of maintenance, they use those times when, also think, when it's a lot of water on, game spreads out, so you might not see a lot. But in the Sabi Sands, no, it has, nothing in South Africa actually closes during the year. No, so that doesn't happen here. Would it be a mistake to go to a place out of season? No, not at all. Theoretically, this is out of season for now. It's not supposed to be like peak. Peak is wintertime. I was in Kenya now, out of season. It was ridiculous. And there were very few cars. Yes, the idea of having few cars is great. It cuts twofold though. Just think about this. If you're the only vehicle, and on Sundays in the Mara we were, now, last week, you have to find stuff you own. The more cars there are, obviously there's a happy medium. There's more eyeballs out there. Cuts both ways. But, Mary, you can be assured, I think you're doing Mara with me this year. Yes. You can only do what you can to mitigate the situation. We stack the odds as much as we can, but you are going to have. There are very, 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 very few places left, which is purely wild where you'll be on your own. I can take you to some of them. However, you might not want to go there because the luxuries aren't there. Which way do you want it? But no, nothing in South Africa closes. Those that do close over April because of rains. Should you go in the off season? Hell yes. I was in Mana Pools over New Year's. Green. Saw maybe 2 cars the entire 5 days. Was spectacular. So yeah, it's definitely an option. Last one. This is from Shelley. Is there a minimum number of days needed to book a private safari? I mean, does the safari have to be X days long? You tell me. But let's discuss. You would not, for example, fly out from the US or from the UK or from Australia to South Africa and book me for 1 day. See, it doesn't work. A private safari is based on your goals, your expectations, your budget, your requirements, and so on and so forth. But a rough guideline that I say to people is, when you're going to travel to Africa for a safari, how long should you come for? I would not ever recommend that distance for less than 7 days. A better option, look how much time you're going to spend in the air. I'm talking if you were to fly direct. So if you were to fly from New York direct to South Africa, that's about 14 and a half, 15 hours. 1 day for every hour on a direct flight is how long I would suggest. So 14 hours in the air equals 2 weeks. It just gives you time. I do the same when I'm driving. I'm not going to drive to a place that's 3 hours away. I'm trying to spend 3 days. For me, it works. From South Africa, if I fly to Kenya, it's a 4-hour flight. 4 days there, come back, it works. Yeah, so I would do that. But Shelley, it also depends on what do you want. What do you want to see? What do you want to do? If you want to see the migration, 7 days minimum. If you want to do multiple destinations, if you want to book me for a trip to Masai Mara, then Vic Falls, then Sabi Sands, I would say no less than 10 days. 4 days, 2 days, 4 days, add your travel days on the side, and you're back to 12, 14 days. It's up to you. There really is none. And that form I mentioned earlier on that I would send out, that I would send to people and say, fill this in. If they say to me they want to do Botswana, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Vic Falls, and Tanzania, but they have 4 days, it's not happening. So everything comes back to what you want to do, what you want to see, and of course your budget. Yeah? if you're going to book me on a private for 1 day, your costs are going to be ginormous. If you however spread that over, it's going to be a higher cost, but it balances out over the bigger picture. So that's it. I mean, there's no other answer. It's not a sausage factory thing, like print. It is per case scenario. Guys, there you have it. Those are some of the questions you guys had on the trip so far about privates, about photography, and so forth. Every 10 episodes, like I mentioned on the podcast, is Q&A. I have a couple already. If you do have any questions for that, email me, jerry@wildeye.co.za, wild with a hyphen eye.co.za, and I will include them in episode. I think the next one's 130. If it doesn't make it for that, it'll go to 140 and so on. Some cool shots. Deji, I have your questions already. I think there's 3, all great, all will be answered. Look forward to it. Anyway, it is 1:20. I'm going to go for lunch. We're going to do a bit of Lightroom, high tea, and then off we go on drive again. Easiest to get hold of me. Email address, hit me up on Instagram or Snapchat or Twitter or my website. Whatever the case is, I'll put them up here for you. And I will then see you guys in the next video or on the podcast, whether you're watching or listening. There it is. Guys, thank you so much for your time. Always appreciated. And I'll chat to you soon. My name is Jerry. I'm from Wild Eye. Have a good one.